Okay. Whoa. Seriously? What's that? That's not what we want to start with. That's not going to be a good video at all. Hey everyone. No. I'm like looking up there. Careful. Hey everyone, I'm Phil Corey, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the value of a follower on your social media accounts. It's pretty sharp. So I get this question a lot, and it's about, okay, well, which social media account do I really need to focus on? Which one do I need to build the most? And in reality, you really probably should focus on more than one, and there is no definitive answer to that question. But there are some things that you should be thinking about when you are building a following on social media. And some of that comes down to the engagement experience. That is kind of what we call it for each platform that you're working with. And I know I've kind of discussed before the idea of creating what we call micro content for individually specific platforms. So if you create some content for Facebook, it's not going to be exactly the same on Instagram. If you create a YouTube video, you might create an article or a blog. So things are going to be slightly different depending on the platform that you use. But more importantly than all of that stuff is actually how you use those platforms and how the user interacts with that content that you're producing. So I want to kind of go through some of the four big ones and talk just a little bit about the differentiation. So we have Facebook, the biggest. Close to 1.1 billion users, tons of people, really quite useful for video. Now they're getting into live video. So there's really great opportunities for you to extract value from Facebook. Obviously, we love it for advertising. It's very inexpensive comparative to something like Google AdWords and all of that fun stuff. But in reality, what we're talking about is the actual followers you have. So if you went out and on day one, you open up your Facebook account and you've got 10 followers, and then by a year later you have 10,000 followers on your page for your product or service or your business. What's the value of those 10,000 versus 10,000 on Instagram versus 10,000 on Snapchat versus 10,000 on Twitter? That's really what we're trying to get at. And what I'm going to tell you is that they all kind of have a slightly different positioning. Facebook, I can tell you right now, has a much smaller amount of targeting that's going on for each individual post you're creating. So to say that in a better way, Facebook has kind of skewed its model a little bit so that when you're paying for advertising, you're getting what you're kind of looking for. And when you're not paying for advertising, chances are a fair amount of your followers are probably not going to see the content that you post. Obviously Facebook went through their IPO and they're a public traded company now and they're making money based on all of these things. So I think they're getting maybe a little bit out of control for the time being. They spent a ton of time getting everybody to get all these fans and pay for fans, and now it's kind of like it's a very weak place to market your business unless you're getting a lot of social interaction. So it's a little bit more difficult to work there. It's not as peak as everybody thinks it is. Like, this is the pinnacle of what I need to do. I need to have 10 million Facebook followers on my page. Yes and no. It does have some obvious intrinsic benefits of the validation of the business model and your strategy and stuff like that. On the other side of things, you're really probably not going to reach all of them very easily. So that's one area. I don't see it as probably my top game changer in terms of value per follower. But then you have Instagram. So Instagram is another big platform. Obviously, they're pushing somewhere along lines of what 320 million, or I'm sorry, 400 million now. They're at 400 million users in total. So out of that, the difference between Facebook and Instagram is now we're seeing a feed of content that is just, post 1, post 2, post 3. Everything's kind of in that order that it was posted. Now, Instagram is playing a little bit, and I should say Facebook because Facebook owns Instagram. They are playing a little bit with some algorithms, and they're kind of messing with that just a little bit. So it's nothing to get up in arms about. Most of the content is still in order, and you're going to get a lot more value for the content you post per follower on Instagram than you will on Facebook, in general, that is, because more people will go on Instagram and scroll all the way down their feed until they see the last post that they remember seeing the last time they were on Instagram, which is pretty frequently, nowadays at least. So you're going to at least get more impressions than you probably would on Facebook on a daily basis. So that's kind of an important thing. You need daily impressions to keep your business at the top of people's minds. So Instagram is a very, very important channel. I highly recommend that you spend a ton of time curating a solid Instagram following. But it's not number one. And I know I wanted to talk about Twitter, but as I'm going through the video, Twitter does have 320 million people that have signed up on the service, and it's kind of waning in value a little bit. What happened with Twitter was they kind of they were really strong. They've got a ton of people that are using the service, but they don't have a lot of retention, and retention really plays an enormous role in the ability to attract new users, new content, and also that kind of plays a role in your ability to market directly to those individuals. I think there's a lot of value in Twitter. I don't want to dive too deeply into what I think the value of each follower is, but I will tell you that it is nowhere near the other two platforms that we just discussed. I think there's a lot that Twitter can do to bring that value back up, but that's kind of content for another video. So the big one I want to talk about, and the number one in my opinion right now, is Snapchat. And I know I just put out a video 2 days ago, probably 3 days ago by the time this gets up online, about Snapchat, but let me tell you why it's so important. Snapchat is one of the only platforms that takes up, when your content displays on the screen, 100% of that screen is your content. That's not true on Instagram. It's not true necessarily on Facebook. And you're completely immersed in the content of the provider that is sending that content out. So it really changes the perspective, because now not only are you getting an impression, you're getting an impression that's completely uninhibited by any other type of advertising space, a different post. As I'm scrolling along my Instagram feed, am I seeing the next post, and maybe that's more interesting than what you've posted? Same thing with Facebook. It's completely immersive. It's 100% mobile content because it's shot on mobile and it's distributed on mobile. And for the individuals who have their sound on, which most people do because they don't know what's going to come up on their Snapchat feed, but they kind of want to know, they want to hear it if it's going to be a video, they're going to hear that immediately, which is kind of different than Facebook, which you have to kind of play around with the sound and the volume, and the same thing with Instagram. You have to tap to hear it, and so you have to kind of opt in. Whereas with Snapchat, if your sound's on, you're hearing it. So I think Snapchat's probably number one. I would say 10,000 followers on Snapchat, and we're going to call them followers, might be equal to double the amount or triple the amount on Instagram, because of the amount of value you're deriving from each individual post or each individual story you share. So the other major thing there is that each Snapchat story that you put out is being consumed by individuals who are tapping on one story and then going through the entire feed of stories. They don't know exactly what's coming next. So their screen is being completely taken up by whatever the content is that's by the next person that sent it out. So it's kind of this auto playing, auto roll of videos or images or whatever you put in your story. So if they tap on their friend's Snapchat story and yours is next in their feed, they're watching it, which I think is a really valuable way to look at building a social media following. People who are automatically being opted into your content. So I think it's super powerful. Snapchat is probably my number one right now. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. I encourage you to get out and try all these platforms, but hopefully this kind of puts to bed the question on which one is more valuable and which one should I build. The answer, all of them. And in reality, there are some that maybe you should focus on a little bit more than others. I want to hear your opinion about it. I want to know what you think. Shoot me a message in the comments, or if you're on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you see this, and tell me your opinion. So I hope this helps your idea of what you need to be doing with your business every day and looking to build. And I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks.